for a while, he sweared by this psychic medium. He literally would not even, like, decide what to eat for breakfast that day without speaking to this guy. He started... I don't even know how we got to this, but he goes, "You have very red skin. Thanks. Didn't come here to get bullied." He's like, "Well, you know what can fix that? Eat a lot of melon." So I'm like, okay, well, am I ever gonna get a full-time job? And he goes, "Maybe." Okay, next person. But I literally walked out of there and I went up to my friend, or my friend at the time, and I'm like, this? Like, this? Hello, my name's Jenny. I forgot how we start these, but welcome to What Are We Talking About? I'm the host for today, and I'm joined by my two lovely friends, Adam and Antonio.
Oh.
You might notice it's a little different today. We've gone virtual. Not because of a pandemic, because someone moved.
Who was that asshole? Who was the asshole that moved?
Not me. I'm in the normal space. I didn't move at all. I'm still in the studio, technically. Uh-oh.
Oh, I'm the one that moved. Oh, that's unfortunate.
It is.
I moved.
We miss you.
I miss you guys too, like there's no tomorrow.
I can't wait for you to come visit.
I am stoked, especially if we even accomplish half of what I want to do. I really do miss you guys. As much as I am unbelievably happy to be out of Long Island. And love where I'm living right now, and the fact that we just got, just about a foot of snow.
Oh my god.
Yeah, we got dumped on with snow.
Yikes.
I really do miss you guys. I miss the crazy wackiness, shenanigans that we always would pull on each other. This will be different, but the show must go on, as they say. The show must go on.
Today's topic, let's talk about ghosts and the afterlife and I hit them with the remote. Mediums and psychics and all that. It's going to be very open-ended.
Yes!
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 I'm very okay, so let's start with the most... So, before we even get into it, you have to tell me, do you believe in ghosts and afterlife and spirits and all that?
That's a very difficult question.
That is a very loaded question, yes.
I do.
Okay, well, just tell me your thoughts and opinions and beliefs on it.
So,
ghosts?
So, do I believe in ghosts? Yes. Very much so. I do believe in ghosts because I've had a lot of weird activity happen around me that I can't really just explain away with normal circumstances. Also, Ouija boards are spooky.
Oh, yeah.
I can't believe you've actually played with a Ouija board.
I have, because Jess made me.
Of course she did.
That's not a good excuse.
Of course she did.
We ended up talking to a bunch of dead kids. It was pretty cool and pretty scary.
Oh, dead children. Everybody's favorite subject.
It's great.
It's wonderful.
One of them said that they were sitting on my lap, and boy howdy did I feel that weight actually go on me, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Oh my gosh.
So Antonio believes in ghosts. I believe in spirits.
Okay.
I don't know if I believe in ghosts.
So what's the difference between a ghost and a spirit?
I think a spirit isn't necessarily interacting with you per se, as much as it's just a presence of energy within the residence or wherever it is that is associated with that person. It doesn't necessarily need to interact with you. To me, a ghost, it's hard to explain. I think a ghost is like, okay, I'm going to haunt your ass, and I'm going to really try to interact with you and speak with you and talk to you, while I think spirits are kind of on like a separate plane of existence that we cannot comprehend. Yeah, I have a complicated relationship with spirits. Mainly because of my fascination with shows like Ghost Hunters on Sci-Fi, and how much I now realize that those shows were nothing but a pile of crap, and they were just lying the entire time.
Ghost Adventures, the best ghost show.
The best ghost show. The only ghost show as far as
with
I am
Zach
concerned.
Braggins, bro.
Zach Baggins, yeah. I would love to go to his museum.
I think Ghost Adventures is the first type of content that is like those 3 a.m. videos on YouTube.
Oh, like the don't call Thanos
Yeah, like
at
don't
3
call
o'clock
Mickey
in the morning.
Mouse at 3 a.m.
Yeah. Well, I will give Bottles 5 points for being brave and stupid enough to play with the Ouija board.
Hell
That's
yeah.
fair.
But Adam
That's-
will also get 5 points because I like your difference between spirits and ghosts. Because I also think that, like, there's a difference between a ghost who's coming to, like, haunt your ass and a spirit who's just kind of trapped in the in-between realm.
I wouldn't even really call it purgatory either. I
I don't know if
genuinely
in-between's
think
right.
it's-
Just like a different
I genuinely
plane.
think it's like a different plane of existence that we don't really know about. And the reason why I kind of think that exists is because we've got energy inside of our bodies, right? Like a fuck ton of energy, like a shocking amount of energy. So when we die, where does all that energy go? It has to go somewhere.
Yeah, because energy can't be created or destroyed.
In essence, yeah.
It has to go somewhere.
Every time we move our muscles, just speaking, everything like that, we're exuding energy. And it requires energy to move and everything like that. So when we die, where does all that energy go? And I think that can possibly account for what a quote-unquote ghost is. It's that energy. I
like that take.
It's weird because, and I've talked about this with Lucas frequently. Those shows. I think those shows like Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures and stuff like that. I think they give genuine exploration of the subject a bad name.
I actively fucking hate those shows because of shit like that.
Well, yeah. I mean, when I was younger, I'll fully admit, I remember they would have like these 24-hour Ghost Hunters marathons on like the Sci-Fi Channel. And when I was young, around Thanksgiving time is when they do this. I'd go up to Maine for Thanksgiving, and I remember I would purposefully have to watch them upstairs where there's a lot of light and windows, because if I watched them downstairs in the basement, I would get too scared, and they would freak me out. But it's really upsetting to know that a lot of what they did is indeed fake. And it was revealed by one of the co-hosts that most of what they did was fake. It was just the producers behind the scenes making noises and stuff like that for the sake of drama. And
I didn't realize
that
they were like outed like that. Like, I thought it was just kind of assumed it was all fake.
Yeah, I think the host Grant came out and was like, what the fuck? I can't do this anymore.
Damn, that sucks.
And yeah, and it's terrible. And you can't convince me that a show like Ghost Adventures isn't doing the same thing.
Right.
I also feel like that with like a lot of those like medium shows too.
That was going to be one of my questions, is the psychics and mediums. Like, I was going to ask you guys, do you believe that there's people who can speak to spirits?
No.
See, I do.
Oh, okay.
Well, let me elaborate, because I can't entirely say no. More so, I think very, 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 very few people can, but almost everyone who says that they can don't.
You know what? Fuck it. I'll agree with that.
I think there are people in this world who have the gift, or whatever you want to call it, to be able to communicate with those who have passed on. But I think anyone who's trying to make a living off of it, or like a TV show off of it, there's no way. But then you have someone who, like, my aunt has a family friend who has the gift, and she has never once taken money from anyone. She's never, done it by appointment. It's just something she lives with. And there was one time where my grandma passed away, who my aunt's family friend has never met my dad or my grandma, and all of a sudden she just walked up to my aunt and was like, did your brother-in-law's mom just die? And she's like, yeah. How? Like, and she doesn't post it on social media. Like, there was no way she would have known. But she's like, oh, she just came to tell me a bunch of this stuff, and here's a letter with a lot of stuff written down. And it was like, she would have never known some of this stuff. I mean, I don't remember a lot of it, but I know that she specifically called out some specifics. And it was like freaky, but also it was very comforting. And whether, you believe in it or not, the fact that like it gave my family comfort and a little bit of like closure, I guess, over it. I guess that's what you could call the gift if we're going to get really like sentimental here, is that it gave my family comfort in a really rough time, you know?
Whether you believe in it or not, or even like if the person is actually one or not, you do have to kind of admit that it does offer a lot of people closure and makes them kind of feel better about how, you know, the events transpired with their loved one. So I can't really like say that they're doing complete harm. Wouldn't even say that they're doing harm. I'm sure some of them are, but like your average one, like right. I can't like absolutely condemn the business.
Well, I would counter that, Antonio, by saying that I think a lot of mediums, and again, Jenny, this isn't directed at you. This is just in general.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of these mediums or psychics know that people are looking for closure and prey upon that. And I say prey not in a derogatory way.
Right.
Just like in the way of like that's what they're trying to like present to them.
That's what they're trying to present to them. They're trying to present closure to them. And on the flip side of that, I think the people that go and see these psychics looking for closure will accept that closure without really acknowledging the objective reality of the whole situation, or looking at something with a truly objective eye, because they're an emotional wreck.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if you lose somebody who's really close to you, you're an emotional wreck. And I don't care if you're the most stoic person in the world, you're going to feel something about that. And whether we like to admit it or not, emotions will always affect objectivity.
So now let me counter with another story, because I went to like, granted this one, I don't know this person at all. It was a psychic medium for hire. He comes to your house and does like a group reading. My family friend wanted to do one, and I was like, all right, I'll go. And so I go. I purposely don't wear any Disney shirt. That's important. I don't wear, my shirt is a plain colored shirt, nothing on it. And so I show up, and he, you know, we all sit down and do the reading. He starts reading someone else. Someone came through, and the woman was in hysterics crying. She's like, yep, that's him. That's my dad. And I was like, okay. And all of a sudden he turns to me and points to me and goes, who passed away whose name starts with L? And I go, that's my grandma. And I was like, good guess. You had a 1 in 26 shot. Like, good guess. And then he just starts prattling on. And finally, about halfway through, he starts getting to like really, really deep stuff. Not deep, but like specific stuff. He asked me all about stuff specific in my grandma's house, you know, and then he even asked me, he goes, what about the stained glass window? And that's when I was like, what stained glass window? No way. Like, you're wrong now. Now I don't believe you. Excuse me. And I was like, what stained glass window? And then he starts talking about an owl. And I'm like, no, there's no owls in my grandmother's house. She loved giraffes. It was all giraffes. So it's not that. So you're wrong. Like, now you've lost me. But then he's like, okay, well, she's gone now. And I was like, all right. And then he turns to someone else and he goes, wait, one more thing. What does your connection to your grandma with Beauty and the Beast mean to you? And I just freaking lost. That was the first Broadway show I've ever seen ever saw with her on Broadway, was Beauty and the Beast. And I was like, how the hell do you guess that? Like, how do you get that out of thin air? And then when my dad picked me and my mom up from the reading, I was like, yeah, Dad, he was talking about some kind of weird thing, like a stained glass window. And he goes, I covered a stained glass window up in your grandmother's house, his mom's house, when I was younger, because I forgot the reason, but there's a stained glass window in between the walls that he covered up. And apparently the owls was my dad's high school's like mascot when she used to pick him up from high school. I don't know how you get that kind of specific stuff, but it was stuff that I didn't even know.
I would argue that a lot of these people that say things like that, who claim to be psychics, are just unbelievably observant people. Unbelievably
you think so?
Observant. Yeah. I do. No, I genuinely do. And I mean freakishly observant. Like Batman levels of observant.
Yeah.
Well, my question is, where were you during this time?
I was at my family friend's house, the friend that hired him.
Okay.
So I wasn't...
Because I was going to say, I'm like out of, like, observant is one thing, but, like, the thing that screws me up the most, because, like, owls, a lot of people like owls.
Right.
Stained glass window.
A lot of people like stained glass.
A lot of people like stained glass, and also church is very common.
Yep.
But the thing that fucks me up is the Beauty and the Beast thing.
Yep.
That I feel like is kind of like... That's like, out of any Disney movie you could have, like, picked, right?
Yep. And he
I feel like that was kind of a random one.
I mean, it must have been like 12 years before that I went to go see it on Broadway with my grandma. And I was not wearing a Disney shirt, let alone a Beauty and the Beast shirt, like nothing. I don't know how we did it. You know, if my face gave away Beauty and the Beast somehow, then so be it.
Well, it's not that difficult to gather that some people like Disney.
Yes.
And Disney stuff. And in my opinion, Beauty and the Beast is one of the more popular Disney things, other than like Mickey Mouse, in terms of like feature films or whatever. And I think it was a very calculated shot in the dark.
This dude should go gambling then, I'll tell you that much.
Absolutely. They would make the worst gamblers.
This dude should go play roulette.
Absolutely. I believe most of these people have an almost freakish level of being observant towards people, and what freaks me out about them, a lot of them, isn't the fact that they are freakishly observant. It is the fact that because they are freakishly observant, they have convinced themselves that they are psychic.
Yeah.
And that scares me, because that, to me, borderlines on delusional. But we were very interested in this, especially in the 1980s. It's why there's a psychic character in the 90s Godzilla franchise, is because we were obsessed with psychics in the 1980s. It's very similar to how exorcisms basically died before The Exorcist was released. When The Exorcist was released, almost nobody heard about exorcisms or really knew what they were until The Exorcist was released, and suddenly exorcists and exorcisms became a very popular thing again. So I think that has a lot to do with it, to be honest, is our subconscious mind and pop culture and what we're interested in, and that plays into our specific wants to believe in stuff like this.
That's fair.
Mm.
The key word is want. We all want mystery in our lives. You know, I mean, you're talking. 100%. I find it kind of rich that I'm sitting here being like, yeah, I don't really believe in psychics, and I have a hard time believing in ghosts, but yet here I am constantly doing podcasts with Lucas saying how much we believe in Bigfoot. So I take everything I say with a grain of salt, I guess. But because I want to say this, and Jenny, you can probably attest to this a little bit, but where I used to work, I think was haunted. Genuinely haunted. I don't know. I know Oliver and I have told you about this.
Yeah, you've definitely mentioned it to me. I don't spend enough time in the studio, though.
I didn't want to talk about it with anybody because it was just happening to me. And I always get that sort of paranoid voice in the back of my head that goes, "You're just kind of going crazy, Adam."
You're just fucking insane.
You're just fucking insane, Adam. Calm down, right?
You're just losing it.
One of the first weeks I was working there, I remember I was leaving the studio, and I genuinely thought I saw something run into me and through me.
Oh,
and,
no.
I felt it.
Oh, no. That's creepy.
And I felt it, and I was like, what the fuck? And I was looking around, and I remember Sally. Sally was like, she's one of the people that work there. Sally was like, "Are you all right, Adam?" And I'm like, "Did you guys just blow a fan or something?" She's like, "No," and I was like, "Nah, I'm just nuts." Lord knows, during the pandemic, I basically lived in that studio, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that turned into my office essentially, and there would be days where I would be sitting there typing away on a blog post or creating a video or something like that, or yelling at my bosses. And all of a sudden, I swear, I would feel something touch my scalp.
Oh.
Like fingers, distinct indents, touch my scalp. And I'd be like, what the fuck? But then I'd just keep going. And that was a frequent thing. Suddenly I'd feel like something tug on my shirt a little bit.
Oh.
Just a little bit, not much. But I tended to be like, I probably just caught it on something. The moment I said, this is not me, was when it was I think about a week before Oliver left, is I was sitting there editing a video, and I saw the cord of my microphone, and there's video here. Unfortunately, you guys can't see it. It lifted. I saw it genuinely look like something picked it up and then dropped it.
Oh, God.
The cable. And I left. I left the room, and I actually went and sat down with Oliver. I didn't say I was freaked out or anything, but I went in there, and I just used the excuse that I wanted to get out of that room for a second. But that was the moment I was convinced that there is actually something here. But I didn't say anything about this, right?
Right.
Until one day, Oliver and I were in there. Oliver is getting ready. He's setting up. He's shooting some sort of product spotlight. I think that's what was happening while I was working on something else. And all of a sudden, Oliver jumps, like genuinely gets a start. And he's like, what the fuck? And he's like looking all around him. And I'm like, Oliver, what the hell did you do? I thought he dropped something. And he's like, something just grabbed my hip. And at that moment, it was like the floodgates just opened. I was like, something finally happened to somebody else.
I'm not crazy.
I'm not crazy.
Finally!
I'm not crazy. And I told
now
Oliver
the ghost
everything.
is your problem.
I told Oliver everything. I was like, look, this has been happening in here like ever since I started working here, and it finally happened to somebody else. And I was like, okay, so I'm not going completely crazy. And then that's when the joke started that he was a gay ghost. We don't even know if it was a male or a female. We're just assuming that it was a gay ghost.
The gay ghost. That sounds like a really bad like sitcom. The gay ghost.
The gay ghost. Oh shit.
That feels like something we need to make.
We could do that.
Yeah, we could do the gay ghost.
We could do it. But it has to be played by someone just in a bed sheet with 2 eye holes.
Yeah.
I was thinking that.
No. It has to be a duvet.
Yes. Yes.
The first part of your story reminded me. So my friends were. It was my friend Juan, my friend Pete, Maury, and Rich were driving. Juan was driving them home. And they're driving around this like dark road. There's no like street lights or anything like that, and they just see a dude on a bike.
Oh, fuck off with this story. Fuck off with this story right now, Antonio. No, thank you.
Juan legitimately swerved out of the way to like get out of this dude on the bike. Look through the rearview mirror. No one's there.
Fuck off.
Now,
no, thank you.
At first, Juan's like, what the fuck? Did I just like, am I seeing things? But then everyone else also saw it.
Oh, no.
No.
And also was like,
no.
What the fuck? Where did that guy go? And then, of course,
that is like my nightmare. I no joke. I freak out over the idea that I'm going to see something that I can't explain on this road. And it's just going to be there, and I can't explain what this is. Because I don't know if you two would agree with this or not. I think it is scarier not knowing what it is than knowing what it is.
Oh, yeah.
100% of the time.
Oh, yeah.
And I think ghosts feed into that fear. I honestly think it's just a primal fear of humanity, or not of humanity, but just something that we all inertly have of being afraid of things that we can't explain. And ghosts, I think, are one of the most primal things that we think of. When it comes to we can't explain that, that's creepy.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I love ghosts. I do. Like I'm not saying I don't really believe in them. I believe most of the stories I hear are kind of full of shit, where they definitely saw something, they definitely heard something, they definitely experienced something, but it was probably not a ghost.
Yeah, it was probably just like something that could be explained away somehow else.
Somehow else.
But the
it
more
can be
I don't know. I
explained.
can't speak.
the
English.
more fun answer is ghosts.
The better storytelling answer
Is ghosts.
is ghosts.
Ghosts. 100% ghosts.
I was gonna say, since Bottles mentioned storytelling, I mean, Adam, you already kind of told us your ghostly encounters, but do you have any other, like, ones that really freaked you out, or that you firmly believe is like, I just had a ghost interaction?
Yes, I do. And this one's not scary.
Okay.
I shouldn't say it's scary. It freaked me out in the moment, but not really. This Thanksgiving, I got to finally have Thanksgiving with my family, and I was carving into the turkey, right, cutting it up and my dad just sort of walked away. And I looked over the corner of my shoulder, and I swear to God, I saw our old dog Buddy.
Oh.
Sitting there wagging his tail for a brief moment. What kind of freaked me out about that was that Buddy would always sit right there whenever we had food on the table. He would sit there and he'd wag his tail and he'd be drooling because he was a hound dog. And I mean pools of drool. I'll never forget how much this fucking dog drooled. And he would just sit there. And I remember my dad came over and I looked at him and I said, Dad, I think I just saw Buddy. And my father just like nonchalantly said, yeah, I see him all the time.
Oh.
Oh my
And
God.
I'm like, what the fuck? But
He's like, yeah,
there are
tell me
times
something new.
where I swear I see my old cat, Callie Cat, who was like this yellow tabby cat. We just called her Callie Cat for some fucking reason. I swear there are days where I see her walk by. There's days that my father swears that he sees Thumper, who was an old Siamese cat that he had, walk by. I don't know how much of that is real and just our minds playing tricks with us.
And like you said, you want to see it. You wanted to see it.
And that's what I think a lot of that is. It's we want to kind of see that, so therefore we're going to see it.
Right.
Yeah.
Bottles, do you have?
I've told you both that I've done this before, but I'll tell it again because it was a fun time and I had a great time.
Absolutely.
So a lot of years back, I don't remember how many at this point, I went to Gettysburg. And one of the main things that my dad signed us up for is we went to this shop that sells a bunch of like gothic paranormal-ish stuff. It's like stuff about ghosts and skeletons and Days of the Dead and potions, whatever, who cares. And they're like, all right, we're going to meet here at 10 o'clock at night. We're going to meet over here in this store. And then we'll talk about what we're doing. So we go there at night, and they're like, all right, we're all going to travel in our cars in a line to this random house. So we go up to this random abandoned house, and they're like, okay, here's a bunch of ghost hunting equipment. Here's how to use them. Go.
Fuck yeah. Yes.
So we just explored this abandoned house, which was apparently a Civil War battleground at one point.
Granted, that entire area was a battleground.
They literally had battles in their fucking backyard.
Oh, I want to say this really quick, just before I forget. Mm-hmm. If there is anywhere in the world where I can say, you know what, I bet you that place is haunted, it's a fucking battlefield.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, 100%.
I just wanted to say that before I forget.
What did I have? I had one of those white noise machines. We had the dot matrix things that you see in Phasmophobia. I forgot what else we had. It was night vision, of course, and essentially it was just it was just cool. Infrared sensors too we had. It was just a cool experience. We heard some weird stuff. We saw some weird stuff. I saw a ball rolling around just all by itself.
That's so weird. Would you go ghost hunting again?
Yes.
Oh, hell.
100%.
I've never gone ghost hunting, and it is on my bucket list to do before I die.
I would love to try a ghost hunting trip like that.
Yes. Yeah. Well, if there are ghosts there, God damn it, they were brutally killed here.
Right.
Yeah.
Let them
just be dead.
Going out there and experiencing it on your own is something completely different. I don't know have you guys, it's actually one of my favorite ghost videos ever, where it's one of those ones where I go, what the hell did they capture? Was from Gettysburg. And it was these people, clearly you see these gray things moving in and out in the woods in the middle of the night. And I'm getting shivers thinking about it.
Oh, you have to send me the link to that.
Yeah, it is a creepy ass video. And it's clearly, it looks like an army on the march.
That's cool. I want to see that.
Yeah. And it was really cool. It was an area where the Confederates were massing, I think for Pickett's charge. And it was in the middle of the night. And suddenly you saw all these things kind of just form up and move.
I say I would like to do it now, but I think when I get there, I'd be really creeped out, and I would hope I wouldn't chicken
You'd just
out.
be like, why did I?
Well, it's like Lucas and our fantasies of going Bigfoot hunting. It's like we're going to be jumping over a squirrel running up a tree. because you're going to be out there, and this is another thing too. Actually, that kind of gets into the ghost thing. You're in the middle of this strange place, usually an abandoned place or in the middle of the woods. It's dark out, so already your senses are like survival mode.
Yeah.
No wonder why you think you see something. No wonder why you think you hear something.
Yeah.
Because you're like on heightened patrol.
You're already on heightened patrol mode, like whether you want to admit it or not. Like it's an instinctive reaction within your body, which is I wish to ask this question: why do all ghost hunting shows take place at night? And how come every time they go to a foreign country, they're just speaking to the ghosts in English? And how do the ghosts know English?
That is a very good point. Plus 5 points to Adam.
Obviously, it's because the ghosts learn English as soon as they die.
Oh, of course. We got to get into the lore that is you dying and becoming a ghost. There's a ritual.
When you go into the pearly gates of dying, you are handed a list of your sins and a Webster Merriam Dictionary of English. And those who are really lucky get a thesaurus.
Ooh.
So they can be fancy talkers.
100%.
Yeah, that's why when you see like a lot of ghost hauntings, like all they write is like kill or leave, like small one-syllable words. Like they didn't get their thesaurus yet. They haven't reached that level.
You know what? I'll say this about ghosts. They still get a better education than I ever did. And they're fucking dead.
True.
I mean, what else are they going to do, right?
They're doing better than me.
I will say this, and this is going to sound really weird, but like if there was anywhere outside of the United States I would love to go ghost hunting, it's Eastern Island.
Why do you want to go there, though?
Because apparently it's unbelievably haunted.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. There's a guy that I really like a lot. He's kind of a showman, but I think he's a genuine showman. He's not like Zach Baggins. His name is Josh Gates. And I followed him a lot. He used to do this show called Destination Truth on Sci-Fi. Now he does Expedition Unknown. My favorite episode of Destination Truth was when he went to Eastern Island. And they hear something, which sounds blatantly like a moan, like a death cry moan in the caves by these statues. And the way how the crew, particularly the crew, freak the fuck out when they hear it made me go, they heard something.
Oh, shit.
They heard something.
That's creepy.
There's an episode of Ghost Hunters, too, where there's a couple of episodes of Ghost Hunters where I said, I think they actually caught something. My favorite one is when a crewman got attacked.
Oh my god!
He got attacked, and they caught it on camera. You genuinely see he had like one of those rigs to sort of steady the camera. You clearly see it lift out of his hands, hit him, and then him hitting the ground. And then when they start examining him, he had scratches all over his back, and they were bleeding.
Oh my god.
Holy shit.
And I said, something happened. Something happened.
That's a demon.
And the thing is, like, if it was just the scratches, believe it or not, I'd be like, you know, the lengths people are willing to go to for their art.
Yeah.
But the fact that on camera you blatantly see the stuff on his front lift up without him touching it.
Oh my god.
I go, something happened.
That's creepy.
Yeah, that might be real.
Yeah, that could very well be real. The last thing I'll also say, and I can't believe I'm doing this, I'm actually going to defend Ghost Adventures for a second. The thing,
wow.
the thing that started Ghost Adventures was like this 2-hour movie that they made, and I think they caught something in that video, which was a brick flying at them.
What the?
Holy shit!
Yeah, it was you genuinely, and they caught it on camera. It's a big brick lifting off the ground and clearly getting thrown at them.
No, I would. Oh my god! I hope they never go back there.
I think they caught something. That shit freaks me out.
No, like
it's definitely entertaining.
It's creepy, but so interesting at the same time.
Well, that's the key thing. It's like, if you find me a ghost story where it's not just scary, but also unbelievably captivating, I'm sold. Like, I am in on the story. Like, the Amityville Horror.
Adam, you probably know, when I was younger, I had a DVD all about the Jenny Wade house.
Of course.
Yeah, that's where I think it started for me, with like the not obsession, but like interest in all the ghost stuff.
So when did that start for you? Because it was always a young age for
God.
me as well. Was it at a young age for both of you too?
Yeah, I guess like 5th or 6th grade I had that DVD, because I definitely probably like 5th or 6th grade.
I remember being skeptical for a long time. So I was kind of just
you're a skeptic turned believer.
Yes.
Interesting.
Actually. For a long time, like, I would watch, like, obviously it's mostly because I was just watching ghost shows and medium shows.
Of course.
Because my parents eat that shit up. And I was just watching it being like, what fucking bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is so garbage. Like, there's, like, I'm just like, I think at one point I literally I blurted out at the age of like 13. I'm like, nothing happens after you die. Just shut the fuck up.
Oh, wow. What a bleak outlook on life. Damn.
So, like, I was like, none of this shit, like, exists. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, these shows are such bullshit. And then I met Jess.
And then I played with a Ouija board.
Yeah, and then Jess made me use a Ouija board, and then other ghost stories before that turned my whole world upside down. Hold on one sec, we're just gonna pause a sec. Hello? I'll be right back.
Yeah. Ooh, I can actually pause this. Hold on.
A ghost needs me to move my car.
Wow, Antonio, you're a ghost all of a sudden.
Oh my gosh. Antonio.
I was so committed to the bit that I wanted so many points that I killed myself.
Well, I have to give you 500 points for that.
Wow.
God.
Considering the fact that he's got 500 points and I only have 10, that's amazing.
So I did want to revisit a point that we talked earlier. I think we need to distinguish there's a clear difference between a psychic and a medium. Because the psychic tries to predict your future. The medium are the people that speak to the dead. I'm not sure psychics. I believe in psychics. That's tricky. Mediums I definitely believe in. The people that can speak to the dead. Or spirits, whatever we want to say.
Oh, so that's the difference between them?
Yes.
Okay.
So when they say they're like a psychic medium, they can see your future, quote unquote, and speak to spirits.
So then I have a question for you then.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe in ESPY? Or ESP?
What does that stand for again?
I don't know what it stands for.
Isn't that
so
it's when people can use their minds to manipulate things and manipulate objects and move objects. Because
so telekinesis.
Yeah, telekinesis. Thank you,
No.
Antonio. That's the word. Okay.
No, not at all.
No way.
Okay.
No.
I don't say I can either. However, they tend to get roped in with the psychic medium stuff. Those
Yeah,
those
okay, that's
sort of
fair.
things.
That's fair. I see that comparison.
I was curious what you guys thought of that. I got my answer.
I have tried so many times to use the Force to bring things to myself, and it never works. So no, it does not exist.
It does not exist because it does not work for me. Absolutely. That is
exactly.
Wow, that is the most millennial mentality.
I see where like the grouping comes in, but that's a hard no. Psychics is a maybe. Mediums is I definitely believe there are some people out there who have the gift. Some being the key word.
What percentage, Jenny?
Oh, it's very, very few. And of the few who claim to have it, an even smaller amount of people who actually have it. Well, because I went to one psychic medium. This is a funny story. It was an old friend of ours who's no longer around. It sounds like he died. I'm just not friends with him. And for a while, he sweared by this psychic medium. He literally would not even like decide what to eat for breakfast that day without speaking to this guy. And so he dragged me and Matt to him one time. And, you know, I went in and I spoke to him. And, you know, first things first, psychic medium. I was like, oh, maybe I'll get to hear from grandma today or something. The first thing he says to me is, I'm not interested in, you know, speaking to the dead about happy things. You don't need me to tell you that grandma loved you. I'm sure you know that. I'm interested in more like the juicier stuff, the wild stuff. And I'm like, what? And he's like,
I'm gonna tell you about grandma's sex life.
Well, no, like he wanted to know if like someone was murdered or, you know, if it was like a wild case. Like he wasn't just gonna.
Hold on,
you tell me.
Your friend would ask this guy what to eat for dinner?
Yeah, like he would not make any kind of decision without talking to this guy. He was there like once or twice a week.
No.
Yeah, and this guy was like, yeah, I'm only interested in the wild stuff. Like,
what did he look like?
Oh my god, he was the most classic, like,
older
guy, bald, long white beard.
Oh my god.
He was crazy. And I was like, okay, well, like, no, I really don't want to talk about that. Like, no, thank you. So then he started, I don't even know how we got to this, but he goes, you have very red skin. And I'm like, thanks. Didn't come here to get bullied. And he's like, well, you know what can fix that? Eat a lot of melon. Okay, I guess I can improve on my fruit intake. That, sure. And he goes, also, if you really want the strong stuff, down in Chinatown, there's some like organic, like international overseas herbs that you can grind up and put into your drink, and they'll cure your skin right away. And I'm like, what? And he goes, yeah, you know, I don't know if they're really supposed to be here, like in America. And I'm like, nope, I am out.
Ah, I see. The juicy stuff. Skincare.
Yeah, that's what he wanted to talk about. And I was like, you know, it's also just it's a skin condition. It's a medical skin condition called rosacea. Like, I don't need your help on that. I got that covered.
I came here to talk to a psychic medium, not consult my skin doctor.
Like, I didn't know I was going to a dermatologist. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then I'm like, okay. And I think this must have been like 6 years ago by now. So I'm like, okay, well, am I ever going to get a full-time job? And he goes, maybe. Okay, next person. I'm like, what?
That guy has just done a lot of shrooms.
He must have been so freaking high on something. But I
Shrooms,
literally walked out of there
shrooms.
and I went up to my friend, or my friend at the time, and I'm like, this? Like, this? And he works in like...
Knowing who this friend is,
Yeah.
it makes perfect sense.
And the guy was in the back room of like a crystal and incense shop, and it was like this skinny little room
man.
that was covered in like I swear it looked, if you didn't know what kind of room it was, it could have been some other kind of room.
A sex dungeon for those who, you know, need the
For
joke
the
explained to them.
But oh my god. And I remember Matt said he had a wild one too, but I don't remember specifically. I have to ask Matt when I see him later what his wild reading was.
I will say this. I never saw a place actively advertising that they're psychic until I moved to Long Island.
Yeah.
That was the first time I ever saw. That was the first time I genuinely saw a medium here, you know?
Yeah.
And not the shirt size.
Oh, I want to go to like a psychic fortune teller so bad. I want to film it for a GCN IRL. That's been in the works for a while.
Well,
I can be your psychic.
I don't recommend this guy.
No, he's
no,
perfect.
that sounds hilarious.
He's perfect.
He might be perfect.
I have a suspicious feeling he's dead now.
I think he OD'd.
I think he's a ghost now.
Great, now I'm gonna be haunted tonight by this guy.
Oh no.
He's ascended.
Jenny, has there been any weird activity happening in your apartment?
Why did my cabinet just open and close?
Oh no.
He's getting the melon out of my fridge.
Antonio.
He's gonna be like,
Jenny,
fix your skin.
Jenny, what would you do if your cabinet legit just opened and closed on its own right now?
I would hang up this call and just leave.
The show would
just be over.
I would just leave my apartment. Done.
Just end it right now.
Tell her I need to terminate the lease early. We're done here.
Bye-bye. I'll be homeless.
You deal with the ghost, not me.
That wasn't in the contract.
The ghost was not in the lease agreement, sir.
Yeah, I'm only paying for 2 people here, not 3. Okay.
You told me I couldn't bring pets.
Oh, actually, the ghost will cost an additional $50 to your rent every month.
What the fuck? I can't even control
I don't
that.
even want him here.
I want him to go.
Like, look at him. He's just sitting on the couch, just being a bum.
He just eats my food.
He just eats my food, and it causes mischief.
Doesn't pay
What is
his
he, a
part of the
cat?
rent.
I'd get a cat if I wanted that.
All he does is feed me melons.
I just
honeydew.
love our lore. This is official AMP lore now that ghosts love melons.
Oh, yes. All right. Well, then I have one more question to round it out, and then we'll be done. Do you think spirits or ghosts, whatever, can send you signs? Do you think loved ones are sending you signs? For example, the day Matt and I booked our wedding venue, that morning I was saying it's a shame, my grandma's not going to be here for the wedding. She already passed 6 years ago. What a shame. That was it. And then when I guess I should preface this. My grandma, she loved Queen, the band Queen. So we always say, when the Queen song's on the radio, that's grandma. And, half the time it's ha ha ha. It's just Queen is one of the most famous bands in the world. So they're going to play Queen on a rock station. But when we were actually signing the contract at the venue, we were sitting down in the meeting with my parents, Matt, me, and the guy from the venue, and we're signing the contract. A Queen song comes over the radio. Is that coincidence? Probably. Could it also be grandma saying hi? Maybe.
Well, then she's got some pretty higher up friends at the radio station.
Yeah, she's got connections.
She's got connections.
Damn, bro. She possessed a guy at a radio station for 5 seconds and be like, you should put Queen
here.
Just to play Killer Queen on the radio.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Let's do it.
It makes me smile a little bit. Do I really think it's grandma? Who knows? But it makes me smile, and I guess that's what counts.
And I don't think what I'm about to say takes away from the smile on your face. And I know that kind of sounds weird, but I think a lot of that just has to do with what I said earlier, and it's us looking for something.
Right, and I totally agree with that too.
Mm-hmm.
And finding meaning in something that isn't there. However, there is meaning there. You hear a Queen song, you think of your grandmother. That's meaning.
Exactly.
For you. And so you hearing that song by Queen as you're signing the contract, to the wedding venue is valid. those feelings that you had, like, oh, grandma's watching over me, that's a valid feeling. So I really can't say that I think they give us signs. I really haven't had that, because the closest thing I've had to that is my cat, bitch cat. She showed up in my yard the day my grandmother died. So I'm a mess, right? And I walk outside, and because I was, and I've said it on this show, I was a grandparent's kid. I loved my grandparents to no end. I loved my grandma to no end. And, I'm just outside just walking, and I hear a meow. And I go, there's a cat there. And there she was. She was just sitting there, looking at me. And I said, oh, hello. And she came right up to me. She started rubbing up against my legs, and she became my cat. I rescued her. She became my cat. And I'm like, I think it's just really funny that a cat, my grandmother hated cats, for the record. And so we joke that this cat is my grandmother resurrected. Because she acts like my grandmother. Apparently my grandmother was extremely cold to a lot of people. She never was with me. And I'm like, this cat hates everybody and everything except me.
Aw, that's sweet, though.
And I'm like, you know what? That's actually kind of funny. A major coinky dink. But that's really funny that I found my cat the day my grandmother died.
Yeah.
And it was almost like I lost one thing and then gained another,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the closest thing I've ever experienced to something like that, where I go, yeah, you know what? That is kind of funny. Where you think about it, was it a sign? But yeah,
The way I see it, I think the most simple way that I can put it is I feel like the universe has a very weird sense of humor.
That's fair. That's valid.
In the way of, like, it really, like just by law of, for lack of a better term, like, I can't remember the word. Just complete randomness of the universe. It creates these situations that are just complete and utter coincidences that just bring meaning to you. And honestly, because your entire world and your entire universe is within your own brain, when you really go and think about it, even if it's not what you would consider a real, like, sign or coincidence or connection, it's real to you.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think that's kind of the end all there.
Well, I would argue that, and I'm a firm believer in this, that the universe exists outside, separate from our consciousness. So, in other words, I would argue that the universe is not contained within our heads, like how you said it, Antonio. It's more how we perceive that reality.
That's kind of what I was getting at.
Yeah.
Is that your perception of these coincidences that have meaning to you, because it means something to you, there is something real there, even if it was just by random chance.
Yeah. Or at least meaning to it. Like, you create your own meaning, kind of thing.
And the funny thing is that, at least this is something fascinating that I like to think about. Like, let's say with your situation, Jenny, where you were signing, like, your wedding thing at the venue and a Queen song popped on and you're like, Grandma, right?
Yeah.
Who's to say that quietly in their own head, the person that was sitting there watching you sign didn't also bring meaning, either similar or completely different, to also hearing a Queen song at that point?
That is valid. Yeah, definitely.
And I always find that kind of thinking a little bit interesting, because I like thinking of other people's perceptions and how they perceive the world completely differently than I would, because we are all different people with our own backstories.
Yeah.
Wow, this got really deep for a conversation about ghosts.
But I think that about wraps it up for today, then. which means
I can talk about ghosts all day.
I know,
Like,
me too.
Oh,
But we have to limit it somewhere, I guess. We could do a part 2.
Goddamn our own rules.
Part 2.
Well, I did award Bottles the 500 points for turning into a ghost for the commitment today's episode. So I guess that means Bottles is our winner.
Christ,
I've done
only
it.
Got,
I just had to die.
I only got 10 points. Wow.
But I
see
value
how it is, Jenny.
I liked everyone's stories and inputs and POVs on everything on today.
But there was that big drama that happened between you two, so obviously I was going to win.
So now
by a
Jenny and I
landslide.
have to get trapped in a room together and try to escape. And
Or
us
else
trying to escape is going to reform that bond.
Absolutely.
Oh my god! And I can be the ghost that's trying to kill you.
See, we just need a common enemy, Adam.
We do.
The
We
ghost.
do. Common enemies are wonderful things to bring people together. Violence has solved more problems in history than any other method.
So thank you for watching today's episode of What Are We Talking About? I'm Jenny. You can find me on Instagram at magicallyjennycosplay. That's kind of all I'm on recently. But Bottles, why don't you pimp out your stuff?
Hi, I am a man named Bottles, and I am on a YouTube channel called Game Controller Network, where I post game reviews, video essays about video games, as well as live streams every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I post daily content there now because I want to die. We also have shorts on the weekends, so hey, if you like funny game content, that's where you can go.
And Adam?
Well, this is my channel, so you should all know who I am. All of my social media is definitely in the description below. The social media for these two assholes are also in the description below.
I'm an asshole.
We're assholes. I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
So yeah, thanks for watching. See you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye-bye.